Mr. Schwantz, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good morning, Mr. Schwantz. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you.
Good. I have to say, it's really an honor to talk to you. Every time we meet in a paddock, I'm really honored to talk to you. But it's really kind of you to get up and talk to us this morning. This is a very exciting day, isn't it?
It really is. You know, it's been a long time since Suzuki's been competitive at the front of the World Championship as consistently as they have been this year. So to watch the races and see how good the bikes perform late in the race for me is something really special.
Yeah, and the Suzuki was in 1993. You were the champion, of course. We've seen so many races, you winning, battling on the track, and that bike was built. We can say was built around you. Do you see any of the characteristics of that bike still on the bike that we can see now on the screen? We can see Rins. We saw Mir just a few seconds ago. Do you see some similarities still in the characteristic of that bike?
You know, I do. I think the Suzuki still is a bike that turns very well. The bike that I raced turned initially, changed direction really well, and would do a very simple, 90-degree corner really, really well. The new Suzuki seems to turn all the way back on itself. A lot of times we struggle to get the bike go on a big, long corner to come all the way back around and turn back on itself. But the new Suzuki, with the electronics and everything that they have helping it, it seems to be a really strong bike. It finishes the corner really well.
I remember a few years ago you were quite disappointed when Maverick decided to leave Suzuki, but it seemed like Davide Brivio managed to find this perfect pair of riders with Rins and Mir. They're working really well, the environment is really good, but they seem to be like Suzuki men.
You know, I was kind of surprised when Maverick left, but at that time Suzuki hadn't been doing anything that looked very promising. But you have to have young talent to build a bike around, and it's exactly what the Brivios have done. To me, Rins and Mir were kind of a risk, but they've turned out to be good, strong riders. And I think of the younger of the two, Mir has shown the maturity and the consistency this year.
He does seem special.
You know, I've not spent a lot of time talking to him, but he seems to be a really good kid. I heard him say something the other day about hey, we're here racing motorcycles. How bad can things be for us? We're not looking for jobs and like everything else that's going on in the world today. In such a strange year that 2020 has been, it was really surprising for me to hear a 23-year-old talk about all the other people out there who were struggling right now. And you know what? Hey, we're racing motorcycles and having fun. So that's pretty cool.
So I asked him about you, and he's, of course, a huge fan of yours. And he told me that you sent him a few messages in the last few weeks.
Oh, absolutely. I send him and Rins both messages whenever I get a chance. And, it's good to stay in contact with those guys. For me, to watch what they do on the bikes now is really special.
So I asked him if he wanted to ask you anything, and he told me that he would love to sit to dinner with you and ask you many questions, but he also wanted to know if you would let him ride your 500 bike.
I wouldn't let many people ride it, but I'd let him.
Okay, cool. I'll tell him this afternoon. But he also said that, so I asked him if he would let you ride his bike, and he said, of course he would, but then he will switch off the traction control.
Yeah, that would be fun, that's for sure.
What do you think the bike now, the Suzuki, is so special, and how much do you think it's the Suzuki or the rider when you look at the track, when you look at what they do?
So much of it's about the bike now. I mean, you've got to have the electronics right. You've got to have everything right. But, I mean, for the past 2 seasons, these guys have been working on this bike with Sylvain Guintoli as the test rider. You've just got to get something that everybody's comfortable on, because unless you're comfortable as a rider, you're not going to push the limit every lap. You're not going to be able to go fast enough on that bike to put it near the front of the field, because MotoGP has such a a strong group of riders and strong equipment in it right now, you've got to really be on your game to be near the front of that field. So, they can all look at it as it's just been a huge team effort. We can't forget the engineers in Japan, all the guys in Hamamatsu that work those tireless hours, and all they get to do is stand at a distance and watch this racing. But, the team Brivio has put together are doing a great job. They've been consistent. We've had good, strong engines. We haven't had some of those mishaps like the Yamaha has. It could always happen, but so far it's been a great season, and I think Suzuki's performed at the top of the class.
And it looks like one of the secrets is, apart from Vintoli, I think, is the consistency. The consistency. Yeah, and having somebody who's been there for 3 or 4 years now, being the test rider, he can go through things, and he's not going to go quite as fast as those guys go on it, but if he's got the comfort level to his pace when they get to ride that, I think a lot of time it's a fairly common thing that what Sylvain feels is working and is comfortable for him seems to work for these guys as well, both Rins and Mir. Yeah, perfect. And just before we let you go and cool down before this what might be an historical race, what do you think he needs to do in this race?
He's got Quartararo starting right beside him, or one position in front of him. I don't know exactly how the rows line up, and then Rins is behind him. He just needs to go ride his own race. I don't think at this point you go to racing your championship rivals. You just ride the race you can ride and see where you're at the end of the day. That's what's got him where he's at so far in this championship, and to start doing anything different, I think, would be silly. But at least he got the guys close. He can keep an eye on them. They're not starting at the very front. They're starting somewhere right around him.
Cool. And he seems like a very balanced, wise guy, as you mentioned before, so that is going to be really interesting to see what he does in this, we have to say, crazy season.
Yes. It has been. Having fans there, especially after a race when you win, would be really nice. But there's certain aspects of no fans there that make getting to and from the racetrack a lot easier.
Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you all the best. And I hope that we get to see each other next season in the paddock again, because I miss the paddock. I can tell you that, and I'm sure you do as well.
Oh yeah, that's for sure, and hopefully that's the case, and we'll get to see some Grand Prix in person next year.
Perfect. And maybe we will see today the 6th world champion on a Suzuki. That is going to be very impressive. Thank you so much, Mr. Schwantz. And thank you, Marnie. Thank Marnie for me for arranging everything this morning. And I wish you a lovely day and a wonderful race to watch from home.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Have a great day.
You too.